Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411 about the 90s mob.
We just love 90s. We really shouldn't have even said 90s mob. We should have just said 90s because the more that we were trying to do research, the more you just wanted to sit there and rabbit hole into everything 90s.
All of it. So we're just going to have to break down all the time. But here's the thing is you've seen it on Facebook. You've seen it on like other things, the little meme that says, anyone else think the 90s was 10 years ago?
Yes.
And you're like, yep.
Yes, that definitely happened.
As for many of our memories and the things that we talked about, they didn't happen in the 90s.
Which is just really sad because when I went back and started reading about the 90s in our handy dandy Port Charles scrapbooks, complete scrapbook, I vaguely remember watching, again, 90s, I was like 10,
Right.
So I watched here and there, but as it was giving more of the storyline, I had no idea that that happened then. We had said about this before, when BJ passed away, in my mind, I was like 7, 8, and then as you're reading it, no, that was early 90s. I should have been more on top of that. So,
and the book was written in 95, and it's over 200, 300 pages.
It gives a ton of information. I was shocked.
They need another one of these.
Yes. This is the book we talked about I got at Christmas, and I kind of just flipped through it, but this week, thank goodness I had it because I was not really prepared for all the 90s info, and it gives a breakdown of every year from 90 to 95.
That's awesome.
So,
why do they not do this anymore, guys?
Well, I guess they're probably before 90 even, but we didn't go back that far.
No. We went to social media and said, there's been a lot of talk lately about events that happened in the 90s. Taggart's back, and he mentioned Faith Roscoe, which did you not think she was totally 90s?
I 100% thought that she was 90s.
Yeah, 2005.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, we were seriously
2005, 2002. Either way, not the 90s.
Not the 90s.
We're wondering what you remember about the mob in the 90s and the five
families.
Yes. I almost said the Fab Four.
Which
I could totally school you on the Fab Four. And Fab Fun.
Yes. That's what I would have been trying to say.
Well, on Twitter, we only got one comment, but it was probably my favorite. And we could have talked about it on Monday's recap. And it's Michelle Lawson just said, okay, then gotta ask if all the crimes happen on Pier 51 through 56, why don't they just put up cameras?
Which is genius. It would be too easy, but it's genius.
And I'm like, that is an excellent question because
are all the piers public property? Or when you buy the warehouse, do you buy the pier? Because if it's private property, they can't just put up cameras. So that would be my only rationale as to why.
Lucy?
Yes. Is that in her book? Why are there not cameras at piers?
Yeah, I don't know. But I know that you asked in a couple of the groups. Did you get anything?
I did not. I asked in 3 different Facebook groups and got a bunch of likes, but I think everyone had the same problem we did of the 90s is a little bit longer than we thought that it was. And so a couple of people commented on your Faith. They hadn't caught that Taggart brought up Faith. And so I, interjected and said, yeah, he mentioned that when he was talking to Trina and Cameron, but I didn't get anything. Any other feedback from it. So
the only group that I asked was in the Stone Cold and Jackal supporters group. Cindy McGonigal said, mine has to be Brenda wearing a wire on Sonny.
Yeah.
And that was, so then someone said, shootout at the church. Shoot, I forgot to go back and, no, actually, I think I did look that up and I believe that's actually also 2000s.
Oh, okay.
Lily getting blown up by a bomb meant for Sonny, planted by her own father. Yep, watched all of that.
You love Lily.
I did. And Brenda getting shot up in the Sire shower. Wow, I can't talk.
You weren't even drinking today.
No. Best scene ever when she wore the wire. So I feel like everyone else was having the same issue that you and I were having because it's the same thing on Instagram. Many people saying that they missed the 90s. Jason and Sonny in action, saving their families, love in the afternoons. Men watched and enjoyed 90s GH. Thanks. M. Whitmer, 64. And then they mentioned Alcazar and Rick, and again, 2000s. I definitely thought Alcazar was late 90s.
Yes.
Anna Meek, AJ, 77. Anna Mikaj,
Okay.
77. Sorry, Anna. I miss 90s General Hospital so much. Sonny's rise from mob prince to mob boss. I like that phrasing.
Yes.
Sonny and Brenda deep in love and passion towards each other. L&B.
Yes. I love L&B.
Luke's Club. They were the best years of GH. 100% 90s was the best. Remember Brenda getting shot out at the shower, shootout at Luke's. Stone getting shot in the leg. Annikins, 1, 2, 3, 4. I love GH no matter what, but Luke having his jazz bar. And the first girl Sonny loved being blown up in the car at Luke's. And their faces. Still.
Never forget that scene of Lily being blown up.
No. And the whole thing building up to it. They just announced she was pregnant.
Yes.
And walked outside. I mean, it was... And that's when Lois was pregnant with Brooklyn. And she's like, our babies can be friends. So baby Corinthos should be.
Aww, that's sad. Why did you have to remind me of that?
Because this is what we're doing the episode about.
No, I don't like that.
And then Tonito, Guerrero, Karen and Jagger. Your favorite.
Love Karen and Jagger.
When we actually knew what Sonny was up to, from running a strip club to the owner of all things in PC.
Yes.
So as we were doing our research-ish, this, I don't think it's going to be our worst for Charles 411, but
I feel like we're not going to stick to the mob as much as we thought we were going to stick to the mob in the 90s, because the mob was just coming back in the 90s. Now again, I didn't go further. This book does go all the way back to the first year that GH started, not as in-depth as it does in the later years, but I didn't read any of that. I can't talk now either. It's contagious. I got it from you.
Sorry.
I didn't go back and read any of the stuff that happened in the 80s. I just started at 90, but 90 seemed to lead us up to the 93, 94, 95 time that we both remember because we were older then.
Well, Sonny came in 93
to get into it. Yes. So I think that's where we're lost, is that 90, 91, 92, because he didn't come till August of 93, I believe.
Something like that, yeah.
So it was later in the year. So all that was kind of building up to the real mob stuff whenever Sonny came on board.
Well, yeah, because then Luke had come back also.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess we'll just start in 93, because that's really when it all started back up.
Yes, there was other crime stuff going on. This is when Duke came back after having plastic surgery. They talk about it every once in a while now, and I didn't really remember it. But he came back and had plastic surgery, and Anna thought that he had passed away already.
Mm-hmm.
And Robin knew that it was Duke. She kept saying, his eyes are the same. He has the same mannerisms.
Okay.
And so then, that went from there. Oh, yeah, he is alive. And there's a lot
Was he
of
doing
people,
mobby stuff?
He was... Oh, so I did not realize also that way back in the 90s was when they first started talking about Julian Jerome too. I thought Julian was like a way newer character.
No.
So I didn't realize any of that.
No, because Julian killed Olivia, and then he went into hiding.
Yes.
And when he came back, because he's way older than William DeVry, but they said that he was in witness protection and had plastic surgery to protect him. So that's how they made that actually believable, because he did.
Okay, so yeah, Duke was part of all of that stuff. It says, I'm not going to read all of this, obviously, but it says, "You're Duke Lavery," Julian challenged Jonathan with a clear menace in his voice. Anna held her breath. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "No, I'm not Duke Lavery," Jonathan lied, sweating bullets. "I killed Duke Lavery in Brazil." And then eventually, this guy that was saying his name was Jonathan, who was actually Duke, got arrested for killing Duke. And Julian was like, haha, you just got arrested for killing yourself, because he knew he was lying the whole time.
Nice.
So that, like, Julian obviously is mob, so that was mob stuff.
Right.
It was still surrounded by Robert and Sean and that stuff. And I
Yes.
think it was mob, but it wasn't these massive shootouts like Sonny brought along.
Right.
So, but I didn't realize that Julian, I know about Olivia, I know about all of that stuff, but I didn't realize it went all the way back. See, now I'm confusing my 90s with my 2000s, but reversed, because I think it was later than it was.
It happens.
So,
anything else really before Sonny?
no, it started out with Luke working for Frank.
Smith.
Yes. And then that was how we got led to Sonny, because Sonny worked for Frank also.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I mean. They kind of just stacked all off of each other over the years.
So we'll just start with Sonny. I mean, a lot of the meat and potatoes is going to come from Sonny, and we're just going to have to break down the 2000s. We'll do like 2000s to 2010, and then we'll do 11 to 20, and then we'll be all caught up.
There you go.
And we're going to have to go back to the 60s, 70s, and 80s at some point too.
That's going to be fun, but so confusing, because I'm not going to know most of the characters.
Yep.
So,
okay. But so in 93, as you mentioned, Sonny came to Port Charles, and he was running the strip club for Frank Smith.
Yep.
And he became involved with Karen.
That was very limited, but yes.
Okay. You have a problem with how Wikipedia has... No. You don't have a problem. I asked a question because, as we know, Sonny does not deal in drugs.
Right.
And the way that this is written, it says he becomes involved with Karen Wexler and gets her addicted to drugs to get her to work for him.
Okay.
Please clarify.
Yes. No, that is not... And Sonny was a bad guy back then. He did not treat women...
You know Sonny's technically still a bad guy, right?
But he's grown and matured. Back then, he had no family that he really cared about, and this was his business, and he was not as high up as he is now.
Right.
So he was just a little more sleazy than he is now, is what I mean.
Okay.
But running the strip club, Sonny now would not run a strip club,
Correct.
I don't think.
I don't think so either.
So you have to remember that he was younger and under somebody else at this point in time. So he was just a different, because I know him personally. He was just a different person back then. But it started with Karen developed a friendship with Stone, who introduced her to the Paradise Lounge, because Sonny did, we all know, have a love for Stone and took care of Stone. Stone lived in the apartment over top of the strip club. So,
and he worked for Sonny, didn't he also?
yes, doing just like errand stuff though. He wasn't on the
not Jason errand stuff.
Exactly.
Like actual, go grocery shopping for him.
Yes. Exactly.
Pick up his dry cleaning.
Right.
Not killing.
Exactly. He wasn't a bad guy in that way. So Stone introduced him to his boss and benefactor, Sonny Corinthos, who owned the apartment and the strip club that Stone lived in. Karen was appalled that women could degrade themselves and work at the strip club. Then she met Sonny, and he turned on his charm, because that's what Sonny does. And he told her how women, by stripping, controlled men, got them drooling cleverly and seductively. Sonny dared her to try it, and soon Karen became Carrie, the schoolgirl, Sonny's star attraction. So, Karen was really good at stripping, was making Sonny money, and was talking about how stressed out she was and tired she was because she was going to school, she was working at the intern program at the hospital, and then she was stripping at night. Sonny, yes, gave her pills so she would have more energy and be able to make it through her day. I am in no way saying that that is okay, but the way that Wikipedia and all that make it sound, it's like he was shooting her up with drugs against her will.
Right.
That's not what happened. Okay. He said it was kind of like, not that this would ever happen with us, but if you said you were tired and I said, oh, I have a 5-hour energy here, do you want it? And then you started taking them every day. I didn't get you addicted to 5-hour energies. I gave you one and you liked it. Sonny got to a point where he would not give her anymore because he was seeing that wasn't having good effects on her, and she wanted out of the strip club. He was not nice about that because she was his main attraction.
Sure.
So he did say nasty things to her here and there as she was trying to get away.
He was not saying nice things in a lot of the videos that I watched.
Exactly. There was one point they had a confrontation at the hospital. She was trying to walk around him and he purposely blocked her, and she said, he like touched her arm or something, and she was like, "Don't touch me," and he was like, "You used to like the way I touched you," and so yeah, he was a sleazeball. I'm not disputing that, but he was not some big drug lord that was pushing drugs off on everyone.
Okay.
So she went to therapy, she got help, she stopped stripping, but that is where the issues with Jagger and Sonny came into play then, was that Sonny obviously wanted Karen back working for him. They had a brief fling, like they did hook up, but it wasn't like Brenda and Sonny love affair. So I don't like that either. The way they quote that, it makes it sound, it was like Sonny with Emily, where it was just like a blip in time. It's not,
Sorry, you missed the face that I just,
and when I think about it, I make that same face because it's like, why were they together?
why did they do that?
That's gross. And all of that stuff. But Sonny and Jagger had issues over Karen, and then Jagger started boxing, and they were going to take Jagger out because of all these different conflicts of everything. And the guy that was like in charge of Jagger's boxing said to Sonny, instead of killing him, why don't you let him keep boxing and you can like own him? And so Sonny liked owning Jagger.
How did he own him?
Like he took all his profits, like he was his handler dealer. I don't know if they give better wording in here. Here we go. Karen knew Sonny's men would kill Jagger, so she ran to Marco for help. Marco promised Sonny a piece of Jagger's boxing action in exchange for Jagger's life. Sonny liked the idea of owning Jagger and agreed. When Karen's pill popping increased, Sonny cut off her supply. Karen asked Stone to get her more. He refused because that was when that girl Crystal was around, the OD'd of drugs. So Jagger and Stone were brothers, but they had been separated along with their sister Gia for years. And when Crystal passed away, Stone and Jagger showed up to the funeral, and that was how they reconnected. And Karen didn't know that Stone was Jagger's little brother, Mike.
I know that they're not actually related, but they look like brothers.
They do, but he was going by Stone, not by Mike, so
True.
It never crossed her mind.
True.
So he wouldn't get her the pills because he remembered Crystal dying. And then it says, even Alan grew concerned upon seeing Karen, so strung out, he warned her about drugs, but that didn't stop her from stealing pills from the hospital. Curious over how mysterious Karen had become, Brenda followed her to the Paradise Lounge. That's whenever she saw her stripping.
Well, and she was with Robin. I watched this clip.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how old Brenda was? She was under 21.
Yeah, because they all became friends when they were still seniors in high school.
Right.
And Robin was a sophomore.
But it was crazy to see the stuff because so she and Robin are dressed like in trench coats and fedoras and glasses and stuff. And they follow her and they're like, wait, what is she doing? Well, they won't let Robin in, but they do let Brenda in. So I think she was over 18, but under 21.
Okay.
Because there was somewhere in one of the things that I read and it says they celebrate Brenda's 21st birthday. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, they were in high school when it started.
Well, I mean, and Sonny was young too.
Right.
It was but speaking, so that happened. He started dating her also in 93. And that was the beginning of Popular Super Couple.
Oh, they were the best couple.
Amanda, guess what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for me to pick out my FabFitFun selections.
Oh my gosh, you were so excited with the last box. What are you going to get this time?
I love FabFitFun. Seriously, I've been using it for over a year. And at first I was like, do I really want to, spend money on that? Yes.
I know how excited
you get over $200 worth of products for only $49.99, and it's once a quarter.
That's not bad at all.
No, not at all. One of the items that I'm getting in my spring box is a light therapy anti-wrinkle light. I've seen them listed other places for well over $100, and that's going to be included in my box. They also have robes, different lotions, sprays. There's a really cute umbrella on there. Tons of things for you to pick out.
You're making me want one.
You could go to our website, pure54podcast.com, and just go under the savings tab and click the get offer button under the FabFitFun. Make sure to use promo code RAINBOW and you get $10 off your first box. That's a deal. It's amazing. So go check out our website, pure54podcast.com, and make sure to use promo code RAINBOW for $10 off your first box. And you're going to love it.
Do you have an idea for a podcast but don't know where to start? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Anchor is such an easy way to record and edit a podcast, and you can do it from either your phone or computer. Best part is you don't have to worry about getting it out there. Anchor distributes to many platforms, so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many more. You can start making money right away without having a minimum number of listeners, too. Anchor really is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place.
So Frank Smith was the guy who was running the strip club, but he's also the guy that Luke used to work for back in the day that we're not going to get too far into, but it explains how Luke and Sonny became friends because Luke worked for Frank Smith at the campus disco, which was a money laundering thing, which is also the strip club, is also money laundering.
Yep.
And Luke and Laura had run away forever because of Frank Smith. And at one point, Frank Smith actually asked, hold on, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I think I'm going to anyway because I don't see it in here. But Frank Smith asked Sonny to kill Luke. And Sonny's like, I like him. He's got a family. He's a family guy, blah, 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 blah. Well, then Luke and Sonny wind up breaking Frank Smith out of jail. He went to jail.
Stone was supposed to drive the getaway car.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And they were dressed in these outfits. I mean, they were undercover and they got him out. And then Luke winds up killing Frank Smith. This isn't happening like all at the same time. But Luke kills Frank to protect Sonny because I think that Frank was going to have Sonny taken out because he didn't kill Luke.
Mm-hmm.
But before all of that, Sonny had gone to Puerto Rico to work security for L&B artist.
Yes.
Miguel.
Oh,
and
those were the good days. They need some real artists like that.
And this is when they actually would travel. So I don't know if they would just travel to somewhere in California that they could pass off as Puerto Rico, but they did. And he informed the locals that Miguel was under the protection of Frank Smith's organization. And Miguel started flirting with now model Brenda, which made Sonny jealous. And while Brenda and Miguel bonded, Sonny opens up to her about his abusive childhood at the hands of his stepfather, Deke, and they reconciled. But then, and then it says Luke kills Frank, blah, 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 blah. I don't remember. Okay, so then I think Sonny went back to Puerto Rico and told Frank's partner, Hernando Rivera, which is Lily's father.
Yep.
And Carlos Rivera is Lily's adopted cousin or was he no, he was Lily's illegitimate half brother or something like that. Yeah, because I looked it up because I was like, wait, we know this because then Juan Santiago and Sabrina Santiago, and Sabrina is his adopted cousin.
Got it.
Somewhere.
Okay.
So, whew.
I like when they go back, but sometimes I can't keep track.
Well, at least they connect the people that have the same name because you're like, wait, they have the same last name. Are they related? No.
Yes.
No, but they did. So Sonny goes and talks to Rivera that he's taking over Frank's organization. And it was actually really cool how watching Sonny go around to everyone and be like, yeah, I'm taking over now. I'm going to be handling this.
Yeah.
And Rivera kidnapped his daughter, Miguel, Sonny, and Brenda because Brenda just could not sit at home.
Of course she couldn't.
She had to follow Sonny. She winds up getting kidnapped first, and then Miguel and Lily come too.
Mm-hmm.
And Lily and Miguel had gotten back together at some point, at this point.
Right.
So in 2 sentences, this all switched. But then something happened, and they wound up getting out because Sonny really talked to him about it. And a lot of these clips, again, we're gonna post a 90s mob playlist on our YouTube channel, so you can go and watch a whole bunch of these. But then they finally get back to the United States, and once they get back to safety, Sonny plots his next move, pretending to leave the mafia. So he's done this a few times.
Of course he has.
Due to mafia ties, Sonny and Luke's club is blown up.
Shocking.
This is the strip club.
Right. It was shut down at one time for the underage strippers, and then it eventually got blown up because of the mob ties.
And then on that same night, Sonny discovered that Luke's driver, Mike Corbin, is actually his dad.
I did a sound effect for you. You're welcome.
You did. I'm not even going to have to put that in there. And then it goes into talking about how Sonny learned that Frank Smith's son, Damien, is working with Joe Scully to sabotage shipments from Deception Cosmetics. So Joe Scully is the guy who took Sonny under his wing and like got him started in the business and everything when he was a teenager, and now he's kind of his nemesis because Damian Smith is not really happy that Sonny moved in on his dad's mob. He's like, fine then, I'm going to go to your parental figures mob.
Because that's the way it works.
Mm-hmm. And Sonny really does not try to go after Joe Scully, but they definitely have a lot of words with each other because Sonny is very much, he's saying, we don't have to be doing all this stuff. We don't have to be doing drugs, pornography, and they refer to it as the prostitution ring. And now we know it's the sex workers.
Right.
But that's what it was at the time. And he's like, we don't need that to be profitable. He's like, and that's where all the troubles come in and all this. And so he's like, we can make this a nice clean business. And they're just talking about transporting.
Right.
So, and I feel like that's where we just are now anyway. He transports. We just don't know what.
Exactly. Coffee. It's all
But
coffee.
we know that it's not. Do you know what somebody said one time? I don't remember if we talked about this. What if it's diamonds
Oh,
in the coffee?
that would be brilliant.
Yep. Whoever you were on social media that mentioned that on one of our things, thank you. I forget.
That would be brilliant.
Mm-hmm. But then they wind up having a confrontation on the docks, and Sonny killed Scully, who was trying to kill Mike Corbin.
Mm.
And then Scully's henchmen go after Brenda, Stones, and the Spencers looking for revenge. And Lily learned that Brenda is planning to record Sonny's discussing his mob business and hand it over to the police. Was talking with Garcia, Mac, and somebody else about it. Yeah, and Lily just like happened to be there and overheard, and so she goes and tells Sonny. Sonny's like, Brenda wouldn't do that. Yeah.
But she did.
She did. And again, YouTube video on the playlist. It's just so intense because we can't do it justice.
Right.
Because he doesn't believe Lily.
Right. Because he's
At
still in
all.
love with Brenda.
Yep.
Or believes Brenda's still in love with him. I'm not sure which was the case there.
But it happened, and Sonny found out, and he goes back. He throws out Brenda and starts dating Lily, but they take their relationship slowly. And then Sonny was arrested, and Lily turned to her father, reconciling with him in exchange for his help. Rivera makes a deal that will keep Sonny out of prison if he marries Lily. So it was kind of like an arranged marriage.
Yes.
But I mean, they had been dating, so.
Right.
And Sonny did marry Lily, even though Lily realizes that Sonny still loves Brenda, and she offered a divorce.
She was so sweet.
She was.
I'm sorry that they killed her. I know it makes you so sad.
And Sonny refused to leave Lily because he fears Rivera, but he finds it hard to deny his feelings for Brenda. Instead, he takes Lily on a second honeymoon. But then at some point, Brenda and Sonny hook up again. Like, I don't want to get into the relationship part of this that doesn't apply too much to the mob, but it kind of does because, like, Brenda tried to turn him in.
Right.
But then Lily tells him that she's pregnant before Sonny can ask for a divorce. Brenda lets Sonny go, acknowledging he needs to be available to be a father. And then Brenda moves in with Jax.
Did you see some of the videos of Jax? He was such a baby. He was so
All such a baby.
cute. But he was such a baby.
They were all babies.
But he was such a baby.
But here's the thing. Okay, so Brenda goes to Jax and they decide to get married. And at Luke's Jazz Club, they're all standing up. I don't think it was the grand opening of it, but it was at Luke's Jazz Club. They're all standing up to, it was Mike's birthday. They were celebrating Mike's birthday. And Sonny gets up and says, I think it was his birthday. And I think that he said this birthday boy's going to be a grandpa. And so they announce Lily's pregnant and everyone gives them congratulations and it's great. And then Sonny's had too much to drink and Lily's like, you're not driving. I've obviously not had any champagne. Give me the keys. As they're walking out, Mike walks out after him and is like, hey, Sonny. And Lily's like, I'll give you guys a minute. I'll go get the car. And so Mike starts talking to Sonny and Luke's like, I'll walk you to the car.
Right.
Very gentlemanly. Did not walk her the whole way though. But
Thank
walked her to the
goodness.
car. And he comes back and Lily sits down in the car. And the whole time they're going back and forth between Brenda and Jax,
Right.
getting married, and Lily walking to the car because she was wearing that beautiful pink flowy dress and Brenda was wearing her wedding dress.
Yep.
And just as Brenda and Jax clink their glasses, Lily turns over the car and boom, boom. And Sonny lost it.
Yep.
And we talked about this before. I really do think that she was
The love of his life?
I do. Even though, like, they didn't, like, love each other, like, it wasn't, like, all the passionate love or whatever, he knew who he was gonna be.
Yeah.
Because of her.
Right. And
Yeah.
she accepted that. Because she had grown up with her crazy dad. I don't think she was trying to change him.
Exactly. But, plot twist, it was her dad that planted the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was supposed to be going to visit her dad. She had told him she was going to be driving to see him, to tell him, he didn't know it was about the baby. But so Sonny goes to Rivera or he wasn't in the hospital, but he had a stroke. And so he was like all paralyzed. He's in a bed. His guys are like, he can't talk, but he's sitting there like open eyed. And Sonny walks in and tells him,
good job. You just blew up your own daughter.
And your grandchild.
Right.
And his eyes. So like he could hear you. You know, he's like, how did you feel? I mean, obviously he had the stroke after he found out about Lily.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. Well, then Sonny had a gun and
I was waiting for you to sing.
what was I going to sing?
The Janie got a gun.
Sonny got a gun.
I just was waiting. I just expected that. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's not a bad one though. But it was, okay, so also at the same time though, was Jason was becoming Jason Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't Jason yet to Sonny. He wasn't Sonny's Jason yet.
Right.
And he was saying something and Sonny started telling him about like the guns.
Uh-huh.
And it was just really funny because he was showing him how to shoot the guns because he's like, do you know how to use one of these? He's like, yeah. And Jason just picks it up and like almost points it at Sonny. He's like, yeah, you just point and shoot. And Sonny's like, you don't point and shoot unless you want to
kill somebody.
And that's
Please
exactly
don't
what he
point
said.
that at me. Yeah.
But it was just so funny to see Jason so innocently not knowing about guns.
Right, because in the beginning of the 90s, it was before the accident, because that was who Karen was going back and forth between Jagger and Jason.
Yeah.
And he was good boy Jason then, because her family was her mom, but her mom kept pushing her to be with the good boy instead of Jagger.
Well, Jason was a quartermain.
Yeah, but Jagger was Jagger.
Right.
So,
I'm not saying that shouldn't mean anything.
I'm just saying, it changed very quickly after the accident, and he was not Jason.
But so Sonny left the gun with Rivera, walked out of the room, and you just hear, poof, and Rivera killed himself, and Sonny got his organization too. There you go. And Sonny inherited $30 million, which he used from Lily's death, which he used to donate to General Hospital to create the memorial wing in Stone's name.
Aww, that's sweet.
Yes.
I didn't know where that money had come from. I knew there's a wing for Stone, but I didn't know that came from Lily.
Yep.
Or I didn't remember that came from Lily, I guess.
Oh, and then in 1995, I found a really good clip, in January where Sonny was holding a mob meeting after Scully died.
Okay.
And this is why I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I just watched a lot of YouTube.
You did watch a lot of YouTube.
And Sonny was holding a mob meeting and the guys were like, we can't do it your way. And he's like, yeah, you can.
Right.
25 years later, you can. And, you need to watch this video. In February of 1994, Sonny went to Kelly's and who was waiting on him? Who would have been the woman?
Ruby still owned it.
Uh-huh. So she was waiting on him.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Ruby still owned it and Karen was working there, but that's not how he met Karen. I don't know where you're going.
Okay. So he goes there to meet Luke and he asked for ham and cheese on rye and she's like, mustard? He's like, yeah, that would be good. Thanks. And he's got his little dimples and his smile and he's sunny. And she goes, I do not like you.
Of course she did.
And she said something about that he needs to watch what he eats and if he got food poisoning, she'd be okay with it.
I love Aunt Ruby.
And then Luke comes in and, oh, hi, everything. And she just like takes Sonny's food. He's like, oh, this is really good. And she just takes it away. And then he's like, can I get a cup of coffee? She brings Luke a cup of coffee, not Sonny. I mean, I love her, but it was so good. And then they just start talking more about, Sonny and Brenda get back together again, and about how Jason started to come into the mob life and everything. Lily's former lover, Harry Silver, arrived in town, causing problems for Brenda and Sonny, leading Sonny to kill him. And fearing the mob life is too dangerous for him and Brenda, he actually offered to marry her and leave town together. Sonny declares that he loves his life and worked hard for it, but he loves Brenda more. But he had a nightmare where Brenda was blown up in a car bomb, just like Lily, and decided that he'd rather lose Brenda than see her die. And this is when they were supposed to get married, and he sent Jason to the church.
That was so not okay.
Yeah, no. And then Sonny returned to Port Charles. So then Sonny did leave, and he left Jason in charge.
Yes.
And that was in 1997. And Jason also held a meeting with a couple of the other mob guys. And they're saying the same thing to him. They're like, you can't run this.
He's like, watch me.
Well, and he did.
Right.
And so Benny,
aww,
I know, didn't know that Sonny had drained out all this money out of the accounts so that he could leave.
Okay.
And in the short amount of time, so Sonny left in September, and I think it was March 97 is when Jason had this meeting with these guys. He's like, well, Sonny took $30 million or something like that, like a ridiculous amount. I probably just said 30 because I just read that number.
Right.
But Sonny took all this money, and you just see the look. He's like, it's okay though, because he's already replaced it and increased profits by 15%. So Jason was doing something right.
Yeah.
So ELQ was going to be shutting down the pier for renovations or something like that. And so they were going to obviously be losing money.
Yeah.
And Jason mentioned that they could use their casino profits.
Oh.
What casino? We don't know a casino, do we?
The one in Mexico?
Maybe.
Is that where it's at?
Maybe.
When they go to his private island.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
There's a casino on that island.
Okay, maybe that's what they're talking about then. So then,
because I don't think they owned the Haunted Star then, right?
No, that's Luke's.
Right, but because him and Sonny had previous whatever, I didn't know if they had part of that.
Oh, I don't know.
But I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So I would assume they're talking about the one on the island.
See, and this is the bad thing about YouTube. You can't necessarily get all your answers because they're all in 10-minute clips.
Yep, exactly.
But then Sonny did come back to Port Charles and found out that Brenda had died. Robin, he loved Robin.
He loved Robin.
And they loved each other so much.
Yeah.
Well, Carly Quartermain was married to
AJ. Those are the best clips.
And, okay, wait. Because I watched the clip of the first time Sonny and Carly, and it just says, Carly and Sonny hate sex. And that's what it was. Because Sonny had done something with Brenda, Sonny had seen something with Brenda. No, it wasn't, because Brenda was supposed to be dead. I forget, but whatever. But this is when Carly and Jason were supposed to be together.
Oh, okay.
And Sonny talked to her like she was such trash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
was not nice.
The stuff he was saying to her, you could not, It's hard to believe that they are who they are now.
Right.
Well, then Jason walks in and Carly's walking down the stairs in one of Sonny's dress shirts, which again, real life, women, do we do this? Nope. I would take a t-shirt and boxers. I wouldn't take a dress shirt. They're not that comfortable.
Exactly. But if you're trying to be sexy, that's probably sexier.
But then Jason, flees, and they couldn't get a hold of him or anything. Sonny says to Carly, there's money in the middle drawer if you want to make this official.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't believe she didn't kill him.
Yep.
If anyone ever takes Sonny out, it's going to be Carly.
But then Robin's talking to Sonny about how she's losing Jason to Carly, even though they're not together, but because of Michael.
Right.
And she's like, I love Michael. I'm fine with that, but he gives everything to Carly.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started dating Hannah, who wound up being the Fed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was like a blip.
And then, yeah,
we talked about that the other day with something. That was in one of our clips.
It's when we were talking about Taggart.
Okay, I was going to say.
Because he dated her too.
Yes. Yeah.
But so I know that I think that the things we thought we were going to find out was everything that happened in the 2000s.
Right, we're going to have to go on to 2000. This was the building block though. It's just like when we talk about the weekly recap and we have more to say about Friday than we do Monday, because Monday built us up to Friday.
Correct.
So the 90s built us up to the 2000s. Because Sonny was just a young pup in the beginning of the 90s.
But I mean, he really did. He came in and he took over he took over Scully. He killed Scully.
Mm-hmm.
He took over his organization. He took over Frank Smith's organization and Rivera's.
Right.
In 7 years.
And that explains, for anyone that is a newer viewer, why Sonny and Laura are such good friends.
Yes.
This was all of that developing, the friendship between Sonny and Luke, and because he wanted to protect her family, because she finally wanted to put down roots and not be on the run from Frank Smith anymore.
The one thing I could not find, remember SOREL?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even have a Wikipedia page or like the General Hospital fandom page or anything. I could not find, and it was in 1999 because, the one thing I did find was SOREL and Marino were working together and Jason was on the pier or at the warehouse or something.
Okay.
And they started shooting at him. And this is when Carly and Sonny were having sex.
Oh.
Which is totally messed up.
Jason was so angry.
Even
I'm
more
getting
messed
killed
up.
and you're hooking up.
So then Jason winds up being able to shoot Marino, but he doesn't kill him.
Okay.
But then SOREL comes over and actually killed Marino because he was already kind of a liability being shot.
Yeah.
But could not.
I hate when they do that. Even if they weren't on for that long, if they portrayed somewhat of a major storyline character, we should have a page for them.
And more YouTube.
Right.
I mean, I could not even really find any of that, and I did not rewatch the stuff with Taggart. I guess I really should have, being that we just talked about it, but you can go back to our Taggart episode.
Right.
And hear all about Sonny and Taggart in the 90s. I guess that's really it from the mob in the 90s. I'm sorry, I really talked a lot during this.
No, you're good.
Was there anything else that you found in the book?
No, the book, like I said, it only went to 95, so it was really the beginning of it and how he got associated with Luke and why and all the stuff with Frank. And then that led you into all of your stuff. So you're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we have to do the 2000s, even though we hadn't originally planned on that.
Because then that brings us Alcazar
and
and Faith, but we will have to maybe revisit this and do like a better, now that we know that we couldn't find what we thought we were going to.
Yeah. No, I think once we find the 2000s, it'll all just loop together.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a little bit more about the 90s, which is really, the 90s mob story is really more about Sonny cleaning house.
I think we just titled it wrong. Instead of it being 90s mob, it should have been The Rise of Sonny.
Okay, so we'll change the name.
So there you go. But I just mean, as we were talking about it before, it was like, oh, this is what we're expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of it being the 90s mob, this episode is actually The Rise of Sonny. Stay tuned for the 2000s, which would be the mobs of 2000.
Okay, so ignore our intro where we said.
We just changed it right now.
Yep, and I'm not re-recording the beginning.
There you go.
So join us on Monday as we do our weekly recap. Remember, I'm going to be traveling, so please give us some grace on how this is all going to work out.
It'll be an adventure.
It's going to be fun.
So have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there's something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.